Hi, my name is Jeff Prentice. I want to talk here a little bit about putting together a monochromatic composition with some transparencies, maybe creating a focal point in there. Um, I would never want to tell you what kind of design to make, but I can just give you some tips on how to put one together. And there is one formula that I've come across in creating compositions, which is big looming foreground, tiny background, medium-sized foreground or mid-ground objects in a dynamic composition with movement that references the frame and has a range of values. So I want to subdivide that space. First, I'm going to give us a nice dark blue. Let me try to get it a little bit, develop some kind of mood there. And that's not subdividing, but let me go ahead and do this. I want to break up. I tell my students a lot of times, think as a set designer first before you put those elements in there, because those elements are like actors and they need a place to exist. Okay, subdivided negative space. Then I'm going to add a layer just to be safe. I'm going to use some of these vector shapes again, and I'm going to create something that has a little bit of a movement to it. And I'm going to be resizing them. I do Control T and then I hold down my Shift key and that resizes these. And then I'm going to change the transparency. To change the transparency, I use the numbers on my keyboard. I hit 9 and it gives me a 90% opacity. Control T, shrink it down, hit return, hit 8. I'm going to bring this around. I'm working pretty fast. We have a 5-minute time limit, but I think you can get the sense of how fast this can go. You can really start designing on the fly. If I want to combine these, I can shift click through those layers and I can merge those layers together, and then I can actually start moving this around. I can do image. Let's see, edit, transform, flip horizontal, and I can get a nice little mirrored image in there. I can shift click through and move these around. Here we have a very symmetrical thing going on here. Now I can lighten this if I want a little bit of a back and forth, and I can darken it. Now if I have time, then of course I want to continue working on creating some kind of a focal point. This is a monochromatic composition, remember. It's all using just one color. So focal point, something small, something that might get our attention. I'm going to, since this is kind of a symmetrical composition, I'm going to go with perhaps an obvious place and put a focal point somewhere in here. Or perhaps it would work better over in here. I think so. Out of the center. So how bright do we want it? How dark do we want it? That focal point, what's the focal point going to say? What's it going to do? I could even copy it over and flip it or mirror it if I wanted, and shrink it down. Maybe I have two focal points that are having a dialogue with one another, maybe not so symmetrical. We have these two symmetrical elements here, and then we have some asymmetrical elements that I can move around. You can see the advantage of moving with layers, and with my move tool I have auto select on, so I can figure out, where do I want to group these? Do I want to have them continue to be kind of like mirroring one another and place these maybe sitting on top, maybe down below. Remember, the eye is going to move in and around. It's going to view this. It's going to see that background. It's going to go back, and it's going to come down, and it's going to want to rest somewhere. I think that is good enough for now. That gives you an idea. The last thing I'd want to do is add some canvas and put my label down here, title, name, and year, and do a file, save for web, as a high quality JPEG.